Last week on Battlefield 1 History, we took a look at the French Label 1886. Today, we're checking out the Italians and their Automatico Model 1918. But before we get to the Automatico, we have to look at its big brother, as the Automatico wasn't exactly made from scratch, but rather a conversion of existing weaponry. The M1915 VR Perosa is a double-barreled machine gun capable of firing at an insanely high rounds per minute. The weapon was primarily used for aircraft during the early parts of the First World War, but was proved to be ineffective due to the 9mm ammunition the weapon fired. With airplane armor increasing throughout the duration of the war, the 9mm bullets that the Perosa fired just didn't inflict enough damage. The VR Perosa was then moved to support ground units on the Italian front, as its use in the sky was getting weaker and weaker. As the war grew on, the VR Perosa grew harder and harder to find as more effective machine guns came about. The VR Perosa, if you've seen it in-game, has two barrels, each with their separate magazines. It's almost as if two separate submachine guns were taped together to make an absolute powerhouse of a weapon. For the Italian Empire, realizing they needed something more useful, needed a new weapon in their arsenal. They contracted Beretta, but with production issues at the time, they turned to the pre-existing VR Perosa machine gun, and essentially took one of the halves, modified it, and threw it into a Carcano-style wooden body. Add a new trigger, and you have yourself the Automatico we know and love. Or hate, depends on how you look at it. The rifle body and location of the trigger made it easy for existing soldiers to familiarize themselves with the weapon, and the location of the trigger was very easy to reach. When the Automatico was first developed, the first variant was made to be semi-automatic. Compared to other pistol-converted carbines, this really didn't make the Automatico stand out that well above the rest, or at least by a considerable margin. Other versions of the Automatico were made with two triggers to switch between semi and fully automatic fire, and the last being a single trigger with a switch to flip between the two firing modes. The Automatico, keeping the design of the VR Perosa, used 25-round detachable magazines that fed from the top of the weapon, much like its predecessor. Shells exited from the bottom of the weapon, and the sights on the Automatico were offset to the side to accommodate for the large magazine taking so much space at the top of the weapon. With previously mentioned production issues for Italy at the time, existing VR Perosas were dismantled and parts were salvaged for the new Automatico, which explains why it is so rare to find 1915 versions of the VR Perosa today. The Automatico was adopted in 1918, giving it the name of the Automatico Model 1918. Some 4,000 to 5,000 units were delivered with all variants for the Automatico to Italian troops. Some sources say that the Automatico was deployed a few weeks before the German MP-18 submachine gun, but since both weapons were so close to each other, it's hard to argue which SMG was truly the first, especially with the MP-18 being a far more popular submachine gun, so that might cloud some things here and there. The Automatico, with its blazing fast rate of fire of 900 rounds per minute, was extremely effective at clearing trenches. Although it fired slower than the VR Perosa, the muzzle velocity was faster, with a velocity of 1250 feet per second compared to the Perosa's 1200 feet per second. The bullets get where you need them to go, but in such close quarters engagements, this advantage doesn't really make a difference. Competing against rifles, pistols, and carbine variations, the Automatico was almost unrivaled in close quarter combat. But with service starting in 1918 and the war ending later that year, the Automatico saw very limited use. But the Automatico saw service with Italy all the way until World War II, where it was retired soon after for better and more modern alternatives. In 1930, the Automatico was modernized with a bottom-feeding magazine and used the German 9x19mm Parabellum round. This is a far better alternative to the previous 1918 model, and the ammunition was abundant as well. The M1918 version wasn't completely phased out by the Second World War, so it wouldn't have been all that difficult to see the older model used alongside with the newer version. Within Battlefield 1, the Automatico stands as one of the most controversial weapons within the entire game. The overall ease of use for the weapon will allow just about anyone to see success within its intended range. Over the course of the game, the Automatico's impact has been diluted, with other alternatives being buffed to become more competitive, thus making the Automatico less of an outlier within the assault class. It's not my preferred weapon, since I don't really like to use cheese weapons, but some of you may love it, as there are many players out there who have 100 service stars with their beloved Automatico. So yeah, that about wraps up today's episode of Battlefield 1 history for you. Sorry that this video is coming out in the middle of the week. I had a few setbacks over the weekend, and some videos were just prioritized over this, and I didn't want to make a video which seemed a little bit half-assed. Anyways, if you'd like to see any upcoming thing from Battlefield 1 featured in the next episode, let me know by leaving a comment down below. And as always, it's been BloodHound, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.